Hello, and welcome to the show called Twin Killing, the podcast where two twins talk about stuff. I'm Jason Luna,
I'm Marcus Luna.
and we're identical twin brothers. Uh, Marcus, it's good to have you back on the show. It's been 3 episodes since our pilot foray into talking to each other on recording. What have you been up to? How are things going?
I was recovering from a cold, trying not to get viruses, people. They're a pain in the butt. Just trying to get through work and then my free time watching sports and consuming pop culture. And yeah,
What pop culture have you been consuming lately?
uh, per your suggestion and generally liking comic book stuff, I'm more of a Marvel guy. Marvel's more a priority. You don't have to tell me to watch Marvel stuff. I'll watch it on my own. But I quickly binged through Creature Commandos, and then after that, and still in progress, and I can't binge it as quickly because it's a lower quality show, and I have the daunting task of having 5 seasons to go through. But I do want to get through them. Is Harley Quinn?
Yeah, so I watched one season of Harley Quinn and I dropped out. I'm curious why. What don't you like about it?
Uh, it's not as just compare it to Creature Commandos because of recency bias. The story's not as interesting to me
Hmm.
because Creature Commandos has more on the line,
Right. It's basically almost like a remake of Suicide Squad, kind of.
but it's better than Suicide Squad. It's they're they're both at least the new Suicide Squad, the last Suicide Squad movie, and Creature Commandos are both James Gunn franchises. Although there is some of killing people for humor, which is the thing I like the least about Creature Commandos. Uh,
Mm.
it's not as because like that Grindhouse movie, that Freudian slip because I'm about to compare it to Grindhouse with that Suicide Squad movie. You know, of course, I'm talking about the new one, the John Cena.
Suicide Squad, not
He,
Suicide Squad. Not a very convenient title, a
no,
mechanic.
I'm never gonna remember that the article difference. Kind of felt like a Grindhouse movie where it would just have scenes where people get their heads blown off after in succession multiple times, and that's supposed to be entertaining on its own. And there was some of that in Creature Commandos, but I felt, and it helped that they had it was a short season, and they spent episodes specifically on backstories. Right, I thought the backstories were really well done and compelling because they're these horrible monsters that are locked away for life, but they've explained that their heart was in the right place at the beginning. They had terrible luck to have horrible people do things to them and torture them and criticize them. So they're complicated characters.
Yeah. So, okay, you might answer first, but who do you think was your favorite character? Because I would have to say, just because of the histrionics and the complicated backstory, the robot who was programmed to kill Nazis was probably my favorite character. Is easiest to relate to, I guess.
I think GI Robot, I think that's his name.
Makes sense if it's not his name.
probably my least favorite character.
Wow, you liked Frankenstein and the Bride
No,
Frankenstein better? Or,
I'd probably go with. I'm really bad with character. We should prepare better for this podcast by
fine.
looking at all the characters, but uh, the radioactive doctor guy is probably my favorite.
I mean, he's pretty funny. Reminds me a little bit of Zoidberg with the
It's much more competent than Zoidberg, but I guess everyone's more competent than Zoidberg. Or that's terrible, Zoidberg, but whatever. Uh,
channel your Yiddish comedian.
I mean, that's what Billy West is going for in his Zoidberg.
He does a lot of Jewish because Billy West is Jewish. He does a lot of Jewish derivations for his characters. But yeah.
Zoidberg is totally a Borscht Belt,
Yeah.
old school 50s Jewish comedian type.
Because maybe Radioactive it wasn't as funny as I remember, but that's the best part about Zoidberg is that it's just all one-liners or comic
Well,
situations.
obviously Futurama a lot funnier than Creature Commandos. There's not
Yeah.
really there's not really a true comic character on Creature Commandos.
Well, aside from his backstory one, probably what's his name? I don't know what the actual name is. Mongoose
Oh,
Scorpion
Weasel.
Weasel. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty silly, but yeah, yeah.
Oh, God, that
Backstory is terrible, but yeah, yeah.
dead kids.
Yep. But yeah, made him more likable, I guess, in the long run.
But actually, it was either him or God. I'm less likely to pull her name. That I don't know if we talk spoilers on this show or not, but I'll just say who she is, and not talk about the spoiler part of her character. That Aqua girl.
oh
She's
yeah,
she's the heart of the group.
she's definitely the most easily the kindest and most likable character, especially at the beginning. But yeah, yeah, because I remember you were asking me for recommendations for other shows, and there really isn't anything else yet to watch in terms of like DC television that's like really good. There's
Yeah, I guess that's kind of why they brought James Gunn on, is to build that type of catalog that the Feige regime has built at Marvel.
yeah, yeah, because yeah, I don't know what's in the pipeline. I mean, I'm pretty excited for Superman Origins or whatever it's called. That looks pretty good. Right, yeah, yeah.
That was good.
Uh, yeah. So how far are you? You haven't finished the first season of Harley Quinn yet, right?
No, I'm in the middle of the
Uh,
episode. Wait, did I finish it? No, I'm gonna say I'm in the middle of the episode. I'm probably close to the end of the episode. Wanda Sykes plays like a crazy witch that calls in demonic character versions of Mother Goose type characters.
it's been too long. I mostly remember Ivy and
One of the main characters, Ivy, King Shark,
uh,
uh,
so that
Clayface,
there's a little guy who's like a
Doctor or something.
yeah, and then you seen Kite Man yet?
Yeah, he's on there.
Yeah.
It's not a he and Poison Ivy are into each other, but they both feel guilty about it. Poison Ivy mainly because Kite Man's lame, and
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's a pretty inherently lame gimmick. Yeah.
oh no, no, like I got through the. She's actually we're at the Legion of Doom. Lex Luthor picked Harley to join the Legion of Doom, and They're at a Legion of Doom party. That's the episode I'm in.
Hmm. It's been a while since I've seen that show. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, that's not. I guess clarification for our viewers who are only coming to us for their breakdowns. That's not a Tim. That's way before James Gunn took over the thing. Maybe there's some overlap with later seasons or something somehow, but he didn't create that
Yeah,
show. Yeah, yeah,
I haven't looked into the names of the people who made Harley Quinn.
yeah. Probably some snazzy TV producer because I got Kaylee Cuoco to play Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
All right, I think that was enough for now. I'm trying to think if I have any pop culture things. I'm watching the Andy Griffith Show. Highly recommend. Very topical. uh, yeah,
Do you think the humor holds up in 2025?
I think it does. I think it really helps that it's from a very earnest human point of view. That the characters all care for each other. So that sort of lends itself to likability. The laugh track is insufferable, like all those old shows, because it's filmed, but they want to make sure you're laughing. So they giggle like everything that Don Knotts says, even if it's not funny. They're just like, that sounds a little weird. Throwing a laugh track,
Yeah.
and and then it bothered me more when I was a kid. As an adult, I could tolerate it better, but the character of Aunt B, they really did not hire someone with comedic chops to play the mother figure. So it gets very, I don't know how to describe it, like almost uh expository almost, because it's like her character doesn't have a comedic point of view.
Speaking of old media, that kind of reminds me of there was a woman that the Marx Brothers used in all of their their classic movies, and she had no comedic timing either. And I think it came out that she said she had problems understanding Groucho when he would talk.
Nice.
It was, I mean, that's more extreme because Marx Brothers are pounding you on the head with jokes, but they used her. It sounds like Aunt B in that. I don't know her actress name or character name in Marx Brothers movies, but they're like a punching bag for their benefit more than
Yeah.
working together to make a comedic thing happen.
Now I wonder, because another old thing I've been watching is classic Three Stooges. Highly recommend. But they also have that a lot, where it's like the character who hires the Stooges or admonishes them or whatever. It's always some
Yeah,
stuffy guy or woman, and it's like, is that just a reflection of the time period, or is that supposed to like? I guess maybe it adds some sort of context, like Depression era times, taking the stuffing out of a rich person or something.
I don't think it's that deep. I think it's maybe I guess
Yeah, it's almost like an affectation of acting. Like it's very theatrical. Like it's a straight man, but it always talks like this. I want you to build me a fence. And it's gonna do. And it's like it's almost it's not funny, but it's almost comical and it's unreality.
yeah. I think it'd be interesting to read a book or watch a documentary on how they would cast those sorts of people, but I don't know, I get the feeling that it's just keep people around that won't compete for laughs on camera
Yeah, and I mean,
because they weren't good actors because none of those people did anything else, well, at least that we know of, in terms of fame outside of that. If they're good actors, either dramatically or comedically,
right.
you would figure some studio would give them a chance at something else.
Yeah, I'm sure it might also have something to do with like the because Three Stooges is like Columbia Pictures or whatever it's called, and that was a smaller studio then, so they might have had less range in their repertory. This is a great questions for an analysis that I have no access to. But yeah,
Could have been an open casting call, and they paid them a low rate, like a one-time thing, not they weren't
yeah,
studio players for Columbia or whatever studio was.
I wouldn't be surprised there were some repeat offenders because people look familiar in those kind of yeah Stooges setups.
Oh, well, back then they would crank them out. So yeah, they would use the same people for those.
Yeah, I mean there is a certain ostentatiousness in well, I guess mostly comedy and like silent era and stuff. So maybe there's like a connection there with the acting style. Yeah. So what's your thing? Yeah, I'm watching Star Trek. I don't think you're really qualified for a deep dive into Star Trek, but Deep
Which
Space
one?
Nine. Mild recommend.
Which one?
Deep Space Nine right now. Yep. Definitely trying to be more how do you describe it? It's almost like more socially conscious than Next Generation, but it's really just like emotional posturing as opposed to topical material.
I'm an outsider. I watched the Abrams movies, and I did watch some of the original cast movies, and so I watched a lot of the TNG movies in theaters too, back when we were kids.
Yep.
But Voyager was the only one I was interested in the plot, because it was basically because the story was about them trying to get home.
Right. Yep. All right. Try to get right here in my picture.
But the setup of Deep Space Nine with that huge space station is kind of civilizations in space. I don't know.
I mean, it could be inherently interesting. It's Bajor used to be occupied by the Cardassians, and they've just negotiated the end of the settlement. The space station used to be Cardassian. Now it's Federation. Could be interesting. I'm not saying it always is. It definitely it's always it's getting this whole thing on a separate time or something because Next Generation and Star Trek had this very manicured Gene Roddenberry thing where it's like on Earth we've solved everything. There's no economic conflict. There's no hunger or nothing. Everything's perfect. And then Deep Space Nine is trying to shoehorn in all of these real world problems after those shows. Like there's an economy on the station. Quark the bartender is like semi evil. There's all these plots and subterfuge, lots of different storylines about like shapeshifters. I mean, Odo, there's a character Odo is a shapeshifter. It's lots of like, it's just interesting how it's supposed to be utopian society, and it's just entirely not. Yeah. So let's talk about baseball, I guess. Uh, me and Marcus are die in the wool, die in the womb. Dodger fans. Playing my phone again.
The standings up here, I could see who the division leaders are, and I could then click on a separate button and see the wild card standings.
Well, I have an article from if I was professional, I remember I would have his name saved, but I don't. An MLB.com article about the current seeding.
Hmm.
So I don't know how much you follow other teams other than the Dodgers, but my Metropolitans team I'm watching every day is number one. Dodgers are number two. Do you buy that?
So, do you know who would have the tiebreak? Because the Mets just lost.
What is the first? What is the tiebreak? First tiebreak. I mean,
Is it
on
head to head
record.
or is it like league record or something?
I'd imagine with baseball, it'd be head to head first, and then division or something. I don't know. But the Mets are number one in traditional standings because they've been ridiculously hot. Mets have been Mets have been on a really big up streak with their hitting lately.
I looked it up. You're right. The first tiebreaker is head to head. The second tiebreaker is in division record.
Right. Which, well, the division advantage, as it were, is pretty similar for both teams. I guess historically the Dodgers have an easier division, but the Braves are bad, so it's a little murkier. Which division will be easier?
Well, I don't think the Dodgers. It's just so early. That's why you don't do tiebreakers in April. But the Dodgers would have the Dodgers haven't played the Mets, so that's a moot tiebreaker. And then in division, the Dodgers have an 1,000 winning percentage because I believe they've only played the Rockies and they swept them.
Oh, so yeah, the Mets have played more in the East. Had a very painful split with the Nationals. Two blown saves, I think 7 run and lead lost in the second to last game of the series that just wrapped in the nation's capital.
You know,
Yeah. So the Mets have a very interesting lineup offensively because Pete Alonso is currently playing like the MVP,
hmm
saying everything. Juan Soto is struggling, but he's Juan Soto.
yeah.
And then after that, they've been very lucky with a lot of role player types. I mean, Lindor is awesome too, so he could definitely blow up. Lindor's got a track record. And then there's a lot of question marks that have played okay, but you expect that to level off. Like Luis Angel Acuna has been on fire lately. Getting like 5 straight base hits in at bats last week.
All right.
But he's a young guy,
So
so
this segment is comparing the Dodgers and the Mets, right?
well. Any other thoughts on the? Because I have a full list for the entire both leagues, the current 1-2 splits or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the Mets and Dodgers are like our wheelhouse of knowledge. So the Cubs are the other division,
Yeah.
and the wild cards are Giants, who have been good, but since you expected them to be so bad to start the season, that
Yeah.
might fade away. The Padres are below them, which surprised me a little, and then the
Your today's results flipped them. The Padres completed a 2-game sweep of the Giants and are a half game ahead of the Giants now.
wow, and the Reds at number 6. Reds are a wild card and a wild card because
You're gonna
very young roster.
feel like you really should have consulted today's results before you read these off because I believe the Reds getting swept today in their doubleheader with the Cardinals. Uh, it looks like the Phillies
Phillies
are
makes a
ahead
lot
of
more
them
sense.
now.
Phillies are really lollygagging behind my Metropolitans. You expect that they got Lazard, they got Jesus Lazardo in the offseason. They still got Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber. Expect the Phillies to be loaded.
With Wheeler and Nola. Yeah,
So yeah, question is, do you think how much? Well, okay, I don't know how to phrase this. Do you think the Mets are better than the Dodgers right now?
interesting question because right now the Dodgers have more injuries than the Mets.
The Mets do have a lot of sneaky injuries that are lurking in the background. They have a decimation of the starting rotation. AJ Minter just got a lat strain, and his choices are try to rest with no guarantee or season-ending lat surgery. So that would really hurt the bullpen. Lose a closer type lefty.
That's kind of my point is bringing up his season-ending potential injury. But the Dodgers, in theory, none of their injuries are right now season-ending. Snell, Trinan, Glasnow.
Glasnow. I mean, they won the World Series last year. That was pretty much their MO. Was the pitching was a rolling mess of injuries that barely rectified itself for the playoffs. They still won the World Series.
They had a bullpen at some point, and the bullpen has been excellent this year, although it's overused. It's number one in usage in all of baseball so far this year. Hopefully, that'll go down.
Mets, for brief periods, also had a bullpen that was statistically number one for those brief periods, but even way less pedigree than the Dodgers in terms of personnel. And just watching him day to day and things that happen to him, Edwin Diaz seems like a tinderbox disaster because I don't know, he just gets seems worn out, takes a lot of days off.
Yeah, I mean, well, if I were managing him, I would be careful with him too.
He also just gets seems like ticky tack injuries also, but yeah.
That's what I mean. You gotta don't want to burn him. You gotta do what you can to. It's a difficult game because you never know with pitchers' arms, but you to do your best. Use guys like Ryan Stanek more because Ryan Stanek has
Ryan
I want to say
Stanek,
no injury history, but definitely a lot less than Edwin Diaz.
Ryan Stanek, who blew two saves on Washington and was effectively the loser of this game today.
He's going through a rough patch, but definitely when yeah.
He's never really been a closer for all of his velocity, his velo.
Yeah.
He was a borderline starting pitcher in the back in his experimental Tampa Bay days.
But yes, I think the Mets, the Mets and Dodgers played today. It'd be really close on who's the better team, but I think the Dodgers' infamous depth, which has caused so many people to clamor for a salary cap and a salary floor, will ultimately win out if they meet in the NLCS or the NLDS this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, both teams benefit. The mirroring of the teams is ridiculous because they're both owned by billionaires, Guggenheim Partnership and Stevie Cohen, and they both have, for lack of a better term, not really what that is anymore, but Moneyball GMs who are good at experimentation and buy low, sell high trades. I think both teams will probably improve down the line, depending on their willingness to trade, which is probably pretty high. So you
Yeah.
have a slight advantage to the Mets only because I know the Dodgers won the free agency this offseason, but they just won the World Series, which might lead to some reticence to keep draining on the future for trades, but I don't know.
I think Friedman always addresses a need. Maybe it's not that as big of a splash as fans would want. He didn't go all on last summer and give the White Sox Dalton Rushing and more for Garrett Crochet or something, but
Yeah,
they needed starting pitching help, and they Jack Flaherty was arguably the best option among the available options, and he got that. I do think Friedman, he has prospects he's willing to trade. He has a financial background, so it's kind of like the stock market. You try to trade like for like, and I think maybe the Dodgers will be very aggressive in this Otani window and try to win multiple World Series, not just be satisfied with one in 2024. Try to put them in position to repeat, etc.
yeah. No, the Dodgers clearly have shown no sign of relenting, so they probably won't. But the Mets uh, have not really had a chance to buy at a high level. They kind of took rebuilding years past several years. Pretty much every year, Stevie Cohen's on the team. So I do expect an overambitious purchase of some expensive player by the Metropolitans. Probably a pitcher. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they thought they could get a bat on top of Soto, Lindor, and Pistol Pete Alonso. Pew, 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 pew.
Who knows will be available to a that'll make itself more
I mean, any Cardinal you want. So Aaron Helsley, Wilson, not Wilson,
Ryan,
Wilson, the catcher, first baseman guy.
Wilson Contreras,
Yeah, those are the two.
Ryan Helsley. It's Ryan Helsley, by the way.
What'd I say?
Aaron,
Oh, I meant Ryan. I can't think of any other Cardinal that's like, wow, I gotta have that. Those are the main. Those are the two main overachievers right now.
Mason Wynn, but he's
I don't think he's that good enough to be considered a marquee trade, and I don't think the Cardinals will give him up. But yeah, yeah. Him and Jordan Walker, they're not very good, but
oh Mason Wynn's so much better than Jordan Walker.
they're in the same. They're in the same grouping though, because they're super prospects.
Mason Wynn provides much better defensive value at a premium position.
Jordan Walker hits them bams when he's not striking out and considering retirement.
Please, Jordan Walker, Mason Wynn is not being sent up and down like Jordan Walker has been.
Fair, fair, fair. What other teams are in that trade window? I don't know what Tampa has, but they're probably in there. Uh,
I think it's too early because the card. I'm looking at the standings now,
Cardinals not going to turn around.
but they're only 4 games out. You look at it mathematically. The only team that's the only teams that are out of it are the Rockies and the White Sox, and it's probably only really the Rockies.
Yeah, not much you really get from the Rockies in terms of like a big pickup in a trade.
Well, I mean, history of baseball, there's been teams that scrappy youngsters did okay, or probably even better than okay. The Rockies are just miserable this year. They're getting swept by everyone. There were their win, was it today or yesterday? Yeah. If they had lost their game to the Braves, is this today or yesterday?
I don't know.
Okay, it's today. The Braves, the Rockies edged out the Braves today 2-1. If they had lost, it would have been a new record for the worst 30 game start since 1901.
Yeah, it's kind of a blur with bad Rockies seasons. Seems like every year.
There's been teams that are probably worse than,
Well, of course our teams are worse. The White Sox and the team before them lost more games than
I mean,
the
just looking at their
Rockies.
rosters, yeah, worse than having Michael Tolia and whatever. Well, I don't know Michael Tolia can't find worse, but Ryan McMahon, Jacob Stallings,
Tovar, Ezekiel Tovar.
Adele Amador, Hunter Goodman.
Okay, yeah, it's not regular. Yeah, but
Well, they're not. These are not good players.
Tovar and Tolia have upside. They're young-ish.
But I'm defending the Rockies in terms of what they thought going into the season. They probably figured it's a rebuilding year that they need to. These young players need to start playing better, but they did not expect 5-25 type of rebuilding.
No, that is statistically below the norm. I don't know if baseball reference or whatever could ca calibrate an average season even for a bad team, but it has to be higher than that.
They did beat Chris Sale today, despite him having 7 innings, 2 runs, 10 strikeouts. Chase, I think his name is. Is that his first name? Dollander. It is Chase. Chase Dollander outdueled him.
That's the weird thing is, as bad as they were when the season started, they had a really hot streak of starting pitching. So there's some diamonds in the rough going on with this terrible team. I don't know anything about the White Sox roster either.
Similar to last year.
I guess
They didn't change much.
slightly worse than the beginning of last year, but yeah, arguably much worse. They flipped some prospects for the Dodgers trade and the trade beginning of the year with the Red Sox for the pitcher.
Let me look at their latest box score, see if any big changes from last year.
Because yeah,
No one of note.
they lost Kopech and all them at the deadline
Yeah,
last year, and
yeah.
the guy you said the pitcher you said
Crochet got traded to the Bo Sox.
they got middling prospects for those guys, and then just they put them in the major league roster. So it's like it's not there's no star power at the there's less star power than last year.
Andrew Benintendi's first name comes to mind when it comes to star power on the White Sox. That's bad.
Yeah, the White Sox made a big bet because he was pretty good with the Red Sox for a while. He's still on that big contract, such a big
Oh,
albatross.
yeah. Speaking of trade bait, there'll be a ton of Luis Robert Jr.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty obvious one. I mean,
But he's hitting 158 this year, OPS of 588. So it's just he was bad last year too. So it's just the White Sox want a king's ransom for him, and it's based on he was really good a few years ago, and he can be really good if he goes somewhere else, or I guess in theory if he stays, he could turn it around.
yeah, but I think I do think
Just
the
like
price
some
will come down. It always if you're gonna trade someone, the price always comes down at the deadline. So I'm not saying that will happen, but it could.
I don't like as a Dodger fan and probably any team's fans. It's not appealing to trade for someone who's struggling and think you can turn it around. The the Dodgers coaching staff or in your case, the Mets coaching staff can turn them around if they trade for them.
I don't know. You gotta have confidence in young hitters. Not total confidence, but there's been enough examples over time that young people can put it together because they have physical tools to make the adjustment. I can't think of an example, but there's guys like that who look pretty bad, and then, like, I mean, it's an extreme example, a much more talented player, but Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was scuffling for a couple years.
He is not. That's not fair to Vladimir to compare him to Luis Robert, who last year had a OPS under 700.
But Vladdy turned it around after a couple bad years and was like the league MVP level. I'm not saying so. Robert could be a lesser on both ends, but still good. Could could.
A bad year for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is an OPS just under 800. He's never had his rookie year. He had an OPS of 772.
All right, I was trying to think of an example. You didn't think of an example. Jeez.
We're just called.
There's lots of examples of people who stunk and then turned around, especially when they were young. I can't think of one.
The thing is, Luis Robert did play at an All-Star level in 2023. But why is he regressing so much in 2024 and 2025?
I
It's
mean,
concerning.
I mean, it seems like a lot happens a lot in baseball. There's an adjustment that has to be made with his batting stance or his approach at the plate, and then they fix it. And then, like Pete Alonso, still also a much better player than Luis Robert, but he was hitting in the 220s last couple of years, and then he tightened up his stroke this year, and he's like the league MVP.
Why are you such a defender of Luis Robert Jr.? You got to think for
Because
QB.
the general thesis that if you struggle in your early 20s, it's unfixable. It's not true. I think another team could fix him.
I mean, he's 27 now, which, as we know, it's not old. We both wish we were 27,
Prime,
but
Prime is like 28, so yeah.
27 is close enough to his prime. You know,
He's probably having issues, but yeah, I definitely think he's room for improvement. That's all I'm saying. That was all,
real
you really
tangent
don't think the
there.
Cardinals are out of it based on their
Well,
attitude and team structure.
I don't think they're out of it now. Do I think they'll be there at the end? No, but you don't sell the farm in April.
There's been rumors that the Cardinals are trying to sell a farm anyway.
You're not going to you get you get more value close to the deadline because if you don't meet their price, then sucks to be you. You're not getting them at all, and you have to wait till the off season to trade for them. You know,
Yeah, they're angling for the All-Star break, but that doesn't mean they're like, oh, let's see if we get good before then. I don't think they're thinking that.
I kind of think Mozeliak does think like that. I guess
Well, Mozeliak's 1 foot out the door. He's leaving. Chime Bloom loves crap show, cratering roster, bad team. That's like his yeah, turns him on. Yeah, totally. He did in Boston, and it was a much bigger market than Tampa. So, any other thoughts on baseball?
uh, it bothers me that the challenge strike thing went so well in spring training, and they didn't have a system to say, "Oh, that worked well, so let's implement it base in regular season." There's been terrible umpiring. There's always terrible umpiring. I, for one, welcome our robot overlords. Get rid of the human element.
Well, we're not going to get rid of the human element in this cycle. It'll be a challenge system.
At least do that then.
Everything's got to be collectively bargained. Although, with the current state of the game and the owners being such, I don't know, owners being such jerks, for lack of a better term, they'll they just ram whatever they want down the throat of the collective bargaining agreement because players don't want to lose the revenue of the newly popular baseball. So, all that's to say, collective bargaining is kind of a joke right now. Just Tony Clark goes like, "I'm really upset at this," and then it happens anyway. Stupid Tony Clark. Tony
Yeah.
the paper tiger. All right, all right.
Well, he looks good in comparison compared to Manfred. So
So yeah, but Manfred's winning. He's getting richer, and the game's more popular.
I was surprised the side that has more money is winning.
Yeah, I guess he always looked negatively on ownership because of the nature of America, capitalism. But yeah, I agree. Challenge system very seamless. Didn't take him any time. It was like watching a tennis match.
Because they already had the rules to make sure it didn't take time. Because the catcher or the pitcher has to decide, catcher, pitcher, or hitter has to decide immediately whether he's going to challenge.
Yeah, and it's like the replay. You have to win to keep it going. It's only two per team or whatever. So yeah, pretty seamless system. I yeah, it was weird, but they did the same thing with the pitch clock, so it's just gonna happen next year, I guess.
I think I talked about that last time I was on the last episode. So I'm going to harp on that every episode.
About the strikes challenge.
Yeah, and I mean, especially shouldn't harp on it because it's April, and when September and October roll around, there's no chance that rule being implemented. So
No, it's yeah, yeah.
wish list for just should save it for some hypothetical episode down the road for a wish list for 2026.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to compare it collective bargaining amongst the other sports leagues because I know baseball historically has been the most stringently pro union, at least on paper.
And the umpires do have a union, so
Yeah, that umpire nobody liked that that boy that nobody liked. Angel, what's his name? Angel.
he's gone.
I know that's the thing is
Hernandez.
he retired, and people were like, "Oh, the worst umpire retired," and it's like the mistakes of just more of a generalized trend as opposed to one target umpire.
As long as it's whatever. You brought up a name. Laz Diaz sounds out as someone who's very animated and can be very wrong at times. There's others too. Their names kind of blend together more, but
Yeah,
there's sites that keep track of which umpires are most accurate and least accurate at the percentage of correctly calling strikes and stuff.
I don't follow the scorecard thing, and anecdotally watching games, it's pretty close most of the time for
It
me.
shouldn't happen at all. They have the technology to prevent it.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty amazing with the mechanics involved. I'm not saying it's total defensive umpires, but how complicated the process is. That how well it works out, whatever it is, 96% of the time, maybe higher. It's like it's pretty amazing. But yeah,
But then, yes, if you quantify it like that, yes, umpires are the best among humankind. But then, a World Series a World Series game can end on a horrible strike for three call or a horrible non-called strike.
yeah, they used to do that all the time. I mean, before replay, obviously with Don Dinkinger and all that fun stuff. Donnie Dink.
He was ahead of his time having a name like with name that started with Dank.
Yeah. Yeah, no memes. No memes. I can't say that word right.
I
we,
mean,
we should make a dank meme with Don Dinkinger.
him dragging a joint out of his mouth.
Yeah, sunglasses. Actually pretty good. Yeah. Back when umpires had to wear like red blazers and stuff like that.
Red. I thought it was blue.
Oh, I thought some were red, but yeah, the like they're going out to dinner or opening for
Yeah.
Shecky Green at the
We're hooking the kids in the podcast. And I was bring up Shecky Green.
not even before my knowledge. I of all the old timey comedians I like, I don't know who Shecky Green is or what he did.
Shecky Green.
Not related to Mo Green, I imagine.
Well, he actually just more or less just died. He was born in 1926, but he lived to be 97, dying on poor guy died on New Year's Eve 2023.
Wow.
Didn't get to see 2024.
He looks like he's a kind of a strong guy. He's got a big face. Do not recognize him at all.
Midwestern beef.
Yeah, he could be like it reminds me a lot of a retired football player.
He did serve in the military. He actually planned to become a gym teacher, but he did do some stand up and he got well received.
You know, I'll have to check him out sometime because it's it's one of the most fun names to say, but easily the most marginal in terms of my knowledge in terms of 50s onwards comedians.
Well, he was in a movie I saw and I had no. He was in History of the World Part One as well. He's in the one of the Roman characters because he plays Marcus Vindictus. But he's also in Splash
You saw Splash?
a while ago. But yeah,
I'm still waiting to get to that. Seems kind of boring,
back
but
when we used to do trivia with Dallas,
yes,
he had theme rounds at the end,
I remember.
and one of the themes was mermaid movies,
Oh, I remember that. There was that movie,
Splash, Little Mermaid, and Mermaids.
yeah, which has nothing to do with mermaids, but yeah.
So I watched Splash for that. I don't
Mhm.
remember. He played a guy named Mr. Byright. Sounds like a
All right, we've gone to Shecky Green. Anything else we want to talk about with baseball? Let's for Shecky.
no. I mean,
All right, trying to save some time on the podcast. It's to be pretty long, so let's talk about novelty song thing. So, you've never been a part of this segment. I did it twice on YouTube and once on the show while you were away. I call it Novelty to Novel Me. That's a pretty good title, huh? Eh?
it serves its purpose.
So, very loosely, it's a musicology review of songs I consider funny songs, novelty songs, and definition of a novelty song is very loose, as today's example will prove. Quick rundown of my previous episodes. This is the first song that was not intentionally funny, and arguably isn't funny at all. But the first three I did were funny comedy songs. Are you familiar with the Julie Brown classic, "The Homecoming Queen's Got a Gun"?
Vaguely, I've heard the chorus. So I've heard the music, but I don't think I've probably heard the song through at some point, but I couldn't tell you anything except the chorus.
It's kind of a weird song because it starts out as a relatively normal 50s story song, like Leader of the Pack but less musical, I guess. And then becomes like a mix of that story song element, but like more intense when the shooting starts. And then, yeah, my general thesis on my review was that it's just very uncomfortable to think about because I can enjoy the song on its own merits. It doesn't like offend me, but I do think like this just reminds me of Columbine. You know?
Shooting?
Yeah, because Homecoming Queen's Got a Gun is about a seemingly random school shooting at prom. So it just makes me think of the national epidemic of school shootings that we live in now.
Deep.
I feel like other people would be offended by it that way, even cancel culture and all that jazz.
No, yeah, it could trigger things for people who went through that.
And honestly, it's just not that funny of a song. Like if I had to give a quote unquote comedic game, as Upright Citizens Brigade would call it, what's funny about the song is that it's supposed to be this like 50s standard, and it's broken up by the shooting, but it's not. There's not a lot of like hilarious things that happen. And it's just more people being shot. You know,
Hmm.
it's more of a musical pastiche almost, which I don't know what that word means, but pastiche. But yeah, it's like it's an experiment to like modify a 50 song. So that was okay. The song you're probably more familiar with is Valley Girl by Frank and Moon Zappa. I'm sure you've heard that before.
Yeah, I prefer Frank Zappa's more rocking stuff.
That's actually what I like most about uh, uh, Valley Girl is that even though it's not a full out Frank Zappa guitar rock song, has a really good guitar melody kind of underneath. It's a well written song, despite being a silly song. Much funnier, much more traditionally comedic song. You know, like uh, intentional rhyme scheme to generate humor. It's like it's written from a comedic writer's point of view. Okay, fine, for sure. She's a valley girl, and there ain't no cure. Stuff like that, clever rhymes. Good.
Yeah,
And the only other song I did before this episode was the Green Acres theme song. You're familiar with that song?
yes,
Yeah, I think that's probably the most entertaining song. It really helps that it's like maybe a minute, like 2 minutes long. It's like a minute and a half long. So very tight composition. Eddie Albert and Eva Gabor sing the lyrics, so it makes it kind of like kind of earnest and likable. Very clever like rhymes, and they change the format where it's like the chores, the stores. It's like
yeah.
yeah, it's a fun composition. So now we're gonna talk about today's song. Did you get a chance to listen to time time? Is it time for change or time to change?
Let me check.
I'm pretty sure it's to change.
Time to change.
Time to change by the Brady Bunch.
So wait, you say that song sounded familiar. Did someone else record that before then?
I've never heard another version. That song's pretty simple. I mean, it's very simple, as we'll get into in a second. But so it's hard for me to believe that it was some big pop song for someone else on the charts. But maybe it was written by. I mean, it's probably not written by some combination of Jan, Marsha, Cindy, Bobby, Peter,
No, obviously
Greg.
not.
One can dream that they actually wrote it together.
No, there's no reference of I googled it and there's no nothing about previous. Apparently, Robbie Williams had a. Oh no, that. Never mind. It's a very similar title, Time for Change, but that something different.
So I guess backstory. I think everyone knows this, but Brady Bunch was a very popular sitcom in the '60s, '70s,
Yeah,
whereabouts.
yeah.
Created by Sherwood Schwartz, who created Gilligan's Island. Gilligan's Island is a very high concept thing, obviously. Deserted island, crashed ship. Brady Bunch is pretty boring in premise by comparison, would you say? You got the three boys and the three girls, mixed marriage.
It's horribly boring. Even as a kid, it couldn't really hook me in it. It's even worse as an adult and thinking about the plots and stuff.
It's not very funny. It's almost to me like the Brady Bunch, if you rearrange some of the elements, could be like a Christian show or definitely a drama or a children's children
It was a
drama.
drama. It was a drama when they did that Brady's as adults thing in the 80s.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of those. Some of them were supposed to be funnier than others, but there's the you're probably talking about the TV drama. It was like all dramatic, like a soap opera. But this song, Time to Change, is from a gentler time when I guess the comedic appeal of the show is like the kids are cute. Um, so what did you think of the song? Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na, sha-na-na-na-na.
And it blurs together with other bubblegum pop of the time overall.
I find it's a you know a, over time it's kind of a lazy trope to supplant verses with la 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 and dee 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 do 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 and stuff, but it just seemed because it's most of the song is sha na 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 na,
Yeah, it's a big part of it.
you know, and it's like I mean it's just songwriting is funny because the sound sha na it doesn't like there's no thematic component and it's like oh that makes sense. So yeah. So the reason I to go back to your earlier point, the reason I would assume this song was not some big hit for someone else or like a familiar
Eric,
tune is
Eric confirmed it wasn't.
I was getting to a rhetorical point using your thing as a logic point. Let me finish. Shh. So, because the story of the song and the verses are really simplistic. I think it'd be hard to sell this song on the pop charts because it's like uh that there's two story verses, and the first one's like
It's not a story.
it is a story. I mean, it's a story in that things happen.
Things change.
There's
It's in the
two,
title.
there's two of them. Okay, that's my point. The first one's like uh, snow turns to snow turns to summer, spring turns to whatever. It's like seasonal stuff.
Yep.
It's very basic. And then they do a different one, and it's like they're almost gonna get into something complicated, but all they say is like, every girl is a woman, every boy is a man. That's it. It's not something emotional happens to become a man. A lot of songs are like, you have your heart broken and you grow up or something like that. This is just like boys become men, boys to men.
Yes,
Like,
it's way too. You're not. It's not like you like this song. It's just
it's catchy, but and it's weird.
you're
That's
doing a lyrical analysis of it, and it's just literally describing changes. Because the
yeah.
song's called "Time to Change."
But there's two kinds of changes. I want to acknowledge that two changes.
Fine, yes, there's two types of changes.
Okay.
I think you're focusing on the wrong thing here. Did you watch the? You want since you? I assume you watched the video of the song too, right?
No, I thought it was the same as the song. They're in a studio. I saw that.
You should have you should have watched the video closer because there's something really weird about it. In particular, it's Peter. He's the middle kid, right? Middle boy.
Yeah, he's the one going through puberty in the movie. Yeah.
So on the show, because that's what the YouTube video is they're performing on the show, and kind of curious. So on the Brady Bunch itself, it just they had plot Mike Love or whatever his name was, the whatever his identity, Greg's identity was,
Oh, was it just Johnny Bravo? Something like that.
whatever. Yeah, whatever. That's not important. But I guess it's like, oh, he's so talented at singing, he becomes a star, and then he convinces the studio to record his whole siblings sing.
Wow, that's impressive.
Really,
Good for Greg.
you shared the video with me. I can't believe you didn't watch it.
All I wanted to do was analyze the song, and you didn't seem
Well, you
interested.
shared the video, so I'm analyzing the video.
Okay.
Your homework is to watch the video and focus on Peter.
Wow, this makes it seem way more interesting than it probably is. Like, I don't know what Peter's gonna do in the video.
Well, whatever. For the purpose of the podcast, I'm gonna spoil it for you
Okay.
because your fault for not watching it. That's the thing is you're singing the song and you look at all of them. I almost brought this up when we were talking about how stupid the laugh track was on the Andy Griffith show. Peter is just isn't singing. But they did this, they kind of did this on purpose because I, so you've heard the song. I don't know where you heard it. They include this, but Peter is the comic relief of the song.
So I went through the lyrics. What there was nothing funny in the lyrics.
If we didn't watch the video,
I'll watch it when the
so
Zoom.
Peter does two things.
Yeah.
Well, Peter he basically does one thing and he does it two times, like you reemphasize their change. There's two types of changes. Admit it. Uh,
Seasonal humans.
so I guess, and maybe because he brought up in the movie, which obviously is a parody of the Brady Bunch, those movies.
Right.
But I don't know if Chris is his actor name. Peter going through puberty was part of the show because that's what the comic relief what he did in the song was. Is he would there's everyone would get quiet and then so it's like it's so bizarre. You gotta watch the video. Really focus on for 99% of the song. Peter is just well, they're probably not. None of them are probably singing. Not even maybe not even Greg. I guess maybe they're talented enough to actually do their own thing. But the five of them are singing through the whole song, except for Peter. And then when it gets to the part where he says, "When it's time to change," I think a couple times he goes, "When it's time to change." He does that
No.
puberty voice thing.
I didn't think they would actually do that in the '60s show.
He does it again for one of the Shana Na parts. Don't ever do this again where you send me a video and you don't watch it.
This is a music review show. It's about the music. Very interesting, complex music.
Watch the video next time too.
I will watch it, I guess, after the podcast. We're running about the time we usually wrap things up. So, you have any parting thoughts for our legions of fans?
Consume as much pop culture as you can so you don't think about the state of our current president and the state of political things.
Yeah. Why, instead of thinking about tariffs, why don't you Terry? I think
No,
it's
it's not just tariffs, it's
Ter-
fighting Harvard because
Terry to watch YouTube videos. There you go. Everything's bad. Yes, the economy shrunk for the first time in a long time.
It's the worst first quarter in a president's history since 1974.
Yep, what a time to be alive. We didn't talk about Nintendo Switch 2 at all today. I mean, admittedly, there's a big lull in the news. It's basically awaiting the console launch in June,
Yeah, can wait for the news to build up on that.
and pre-orders are very competitive, so I might not get one until after it's released.
Yeah, I went through that with PS5. It happens.
Yep, the struggle is real.
Do you have any parting thoughts for your listeners?
Uh, Pray for my Nintendo Switch 2. I want one. And also, be kind to each other. Love one another. Gotta love one another right now. Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Good God.
Sha-na-na-na. Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na-na. Man is a man. I'm messing this up. A boy is a boy.
It was a short enough video. We could even watched it together or something so you could see.
Yeah, the Zoom's gonna conk out in 2 minutes, so probably just
All right. Have a good Cinco de Mayo, everyone.
yep. Yeah, I hope May is even better than April because I know it was awesome.
Have a good May Day tomorrow. Have a good May Day.
Uh, and May the 4th be with
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Yep. And May 17th, why not? It'd be awesome.
And recording this on April 30th, so as Justin Timberlake would say, it's gonna be May.
As Justin Timberlake would say, "This is not the clean version." It's my terrible rendition of a song you probably haven't heard before.
What?
He has a song called "Filthy" where he goes, "This is not the clean version." It's like a really trippy electronic beat. The video is like he's like
I didn't
Steve.
realize Justin Timberlake was that guy who said "One Step Beyond" in that Madness song.
There's not overlap. You know, I've never seen that guy from Madness and Justin Timberlake's dad in the same place at the same time.
His
So,
dad.
I don't know, they're pretty old. Has to be like late 70s.
I see. So Madness guy might be Justin Timberlake Senior.
One step to NSYNC. Good night, everyone.
By cut his mic.
Man turns to woman. That's not right.